We understand some of the reservations and the analysis made by the US administration in relation to Chinese overproduction, for example, in relation to market access issues in China, to forced tech transfer. We understand their reservations, and as a former defense secretary, I entirely understand their reservations about funding of NATO. When the United Kingdom leaves the European Union, it will mean that the EU members of NATO are carrying less than 20% of the budget of NATO. Now, that's clearly unsustainable. Robert Gates, when he was a defense secretary in the United States, and I warned that a future United States president and future United States taxpayers would not put up indefinitely with that. And so we've got sympathy with that. Where we have our difference is the mechanism applied to that. We think to use the 232 mechanism is not an appropriate vehicle because it has resulted in us all spending a lot of time on blue action between allies and not addressing the source of the problem.
But I mean, we're in Downing Street, where one of its previous inhabitants played very heavily on the special relationship, Churchill to get Roosevelt support in 1940. But the truth of the matter is we don't have a special relationship anymore. The patently absurd tariffs on British steel going to the United States, they're still there. We're getting no special concessions whatsoever. The President is turning his back on the UK, it seems, in many ways. What hope of a meaningful trade deal on a level playing field have you got with the US?
Well, of course, the tariffs are being applied to the United Kingdom because we're part of the European Union. And whether or not the United Kingdom had been granted an exemption, we would still have been required to apply countermeasures if the European Union did so. So we are tied at the moment into European Union trade policy. When we leave the European Union, we'll be free to follow our own trade policy for the first time in more than 40 years. And at that point, we will want to see what flexibility we can have and where the United States wants to go. But the trade benefits that we can bring of greater liberalisation is still a separate issue. From where we are today, we worry that what the United States has done, the mechanism by which the US has displayed its irritation, may lead us to not just countermeasures, but countermeasures on those and an escalating tit-for-tat trade war. There are no victors in a trade war. There are only casualties.
So the President is wrong in taking on Mexico, Canada, the EU, the United Kingdom. It's wrong taking on its allies on trade.
Well, we would like to know what the end point is. Is the end point of policy that every country is in balance with every other country in terms of trade? Because that is not a classical free trade view. And it's that classical free trade view that's enabled us in the past generation to take 1 billion people out of abject poverty and see our economies grow and prosper by seeing what Adam Smith would have described as a much better allocation of resources in a much more efficient way. I'm still a great believer in that free trade vision.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.